Hey guys, Real 111T here. Turkey season's coming up, and I'm going out here for probably my probably third or fourth turkey hunt. Haven't gotten any so far. I'm kind of a newbie to hunting, and I grew up in the city. And basically, when I moved out here to the country, I have a lot of friends that hunt. And with a prepper mindset, it was something that I really wanted to kind of get into. So I've been out a couple times. We haven't had, that much luck, but I'm really excited. I really think this spring turkey season opening up in May is really going to be the one for me. So basically, there's a couple firearms that I would consider for turkey hunting, and I don't want to come off like I said, I'm kind of a noob. I don't want to come off like I've got all the answers. I really don't, and I'm really interested in experience that maybe you guys might have taking a look at what I'm doing. I mean, this is really sort of on a budget kind of stuff here. It's real basic stuff, real cheap stuff. These are two firearms of the four firearms that I have. I mean, one of them is a .22 rifle, which you can't use for hunting turkey, and then the other three are shotguns, and one of them is kind of set up as a home defense shotgun, and it's really not designed. It's not set up for hunting, basically. So these would be two sort of sporting shotguns, basically, that I own, and I think they both have advantages and disadvantages, and I was kind of torn a little bit, but I've been looking at these patterns that I shot last year, and I think I made the right choice last year, and we'll take a look at them for a second. First of all, on the top, right up here, this is a bolt action Mossberg 20 gauge that actually is the property of my mother-in-law, and it's a nice shotgun. I took it out and shot a few patterns with it. It's a fixed full choke, so that's definitely something. The traditional wisdom is that you want full choke or extra full choke for hunting turkey. It's not like shooting other sorts of game birds that might be on the wing. You're aiming at them more like from concealment, more of like with a rifle, except you're shooting a shot pattern at them. So that was where I kind of was looking at that one, and I shot a few target loads with this Remington Nitro mag. It's a 3-inch number 4 shot, 1 1/4 ounce. So for 20 gauge, it's a pretty punchy round, and I got, I guess, a decent performance out of it right here. Here's a sample at 25 yards, and I fully understand 25 yards is really short range for turkey hunting, guys. I understand that. If there's one thing I would say to that, though, the last time I was out, the closest call we had basically at getting a tom last season, he was probably closer than 25 yards, but with the brush, he didn't quite make himself out into the clearing where we were set up for before he got a little spooked and he took off. But if he had poked out, I would have been worried. And I'll tell you about the load that I had at the time, and actually I was a little worried that I might have actually missed him at such a close range. So that's what I was thinking about taking, but in the past what I've taken is this, and this is, for maybe people who might recognize what it is, this is an H&R 12 gauge. I refer to it as a Dave Canterbury special, because basically the videos on the Pathfinder website were really what inspired me to go out and look specifically for this make and model, and I picked it up new. I understand it probably could have been found used, But this has been one of the all-time, you know, like I said, I don't have a ton of firearms, but this one is a lot of fun. We've had so much fun with this, not just hunting, but, you know, just as an all-around out at the property, you know, plinking around with a 12 gauge, you know, and shooting at some targets and target shooting with slugs. You know, basically what I got here is a modified choke 12 gauge. And I tried, when I was doing my turkey targets, I tried a couple of these Magnum loads. I got a Remington Nitro mag, which is, I suspect it's about a 12 gauge version. You know, these are both 3-inch. You know, they're kind of heavy, heavy loads. And I just imagine this is kind of like a 12 gauge equivalent of this 20 gauge. Maybe slightly different packaging, but the performance I got, and this is a Winchester Supreme turkey. Both of these, I got these in number 4, which might have been kind of a newbie move, you know, because number 4 is a nice heavy shot, you know, and it's definitely recommended for small game. But the patterns from these through this 12 gauge with a modified choke were really unacceptable. I mean, even at 25 yards, which is really short range, they were way, way too open. And I wasn't really comfortable with using them. So basically what I ended up doing, let me see, I'll pull one of these out here. This is what I ended up going with. This is a Federal 2 ounces of number 6. Okay? And the thing about these Federal MagShock Federal Premium shells is they have that flight control wad. And normally I'd be skeptical of any kind of a gimmicky kind of thing like that. But, you know, here we are at 25 yards. And granted, you know, my shot placement isn't perfect. But if you look right here, which is really the center of the pattern, that is a killing pattern at 25 yards. It's probably a killing pattern at 35 yards or 40 yards. And that's really what I'm looking at, is between 25 and 40 yards, you know, with a modified choke firearm like this one, you know, to just be able to reach out there a little bit. Now, this is what I had in my gun when we had that encounter with that that turkey. And I mean, this guy was close, okay? And we had some, he was just around the curve of a road. And I was set up perfectly, you know, and my friend was calling from further away. And the idea was that he was going to call him past me, basically. And it basically didn't work out. But the curve in the road afterwards, you know, it was probably about 3 or 4 yards away, okay? It wasn't really that far away. And afterwards I was worried, you know, I mean, it's giving me a pattern this tight at 25 yards, you know, and the whole idea behind this is it holds the shot together, you know, and I was worried at super close range that basically it's like trying to shoot a turkey in the head with a slug, you know? So basically, you know, if I find myself in that situation, what I just grabbed is some of this. You know, I might carry some of these, but what I had been carrying was just some just Federal regular non-flight control, you know, 2 3/4 inch number 4, and I figured that at super close range, this would be the stuff to use, you know, and also if my hunting partner gets lost, I can signal to him a lot cheaper with this stuff, you know. And then also I was just keeping in here a couple of rounds, you know, just in case of hostile wildlife encounters. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Just a couple of rounds of double-aught. You know, my hunter safety instructor, I was actually kind of surprised. You know, I mean, there's a coyote season here in New York, but and I'm not a big deer hunter. But basically, I was really kind of surprised because, I mean, and this is a hunter safety instructor, was telling me basically, you're out in the woods and you see a coyote, you take a shot. You know, there's absolutely no love lost with the coyotes and the and hunters out here. You know, they'll kill the baby deer. They'll kill basically anything that sportsmen are interested in. You know, the coyotes will go after them. So I don't know if I was actually in the moment if I would take a shot. You know, but if I needed a last ditch sort of like defensive round against a larger kind of a predator, we do have some predators in these woods. You know, all my encounters with bear, they've just taken off. But if I had a bear that was like really coming after me, you know, I don't know. I definitely have to pay the piper, but you know, I'd rather be somewhat prepared for that situation. So, but yeah, we could just talk a little bit about this firearm here. I call this a Dave Canterbury special. I've made some modifications to it. As it came, it was not able to hold a sling, and what I did is I went and I purchased. This is the Choate store end. You can hardly see it here underneath this magnet camo wrap, which is a real cheapo way to camo it up, and it comes with a sling point right here, and then I just added a wood one, drilled a hole in the stock there, and added that. So this really makes it a lot easier to carry around, which is something that firearm doesn't have. And I don't know if I want to be drilling into my mother-in-law's gun. I was going to ask her about it, but I don't know. It's, you know, it's kind of nice, kind of a nice firearm there, and I don't know if she would be interested in having me do that. So let's take a look here. Oh yeah, this stuff gets sticky after a while, I noticed. I'm not too crazy about that. Safety check. Okay. But one of the cool things about this, hopefully I'm still kind of in camera a little bit, but what I did is I made a little sort of bushcrafty survival kit. Not really a survival kit. Basically, if I had to use this firearm, if I got stranded out or something like that, it's really unlikely. You know, where I go hunting, you know, you're never more than like a half an hour's walk from a road in any direction I walk. Oh, goodness gracious. So, I really couldn't get that lost. But I'll just show you how this thing works. Yeah, if I can get that gooey off. You know, and this stuff has multiple uses too. You know, if you had to affix a bandage, you know, this stuff sticks to itself. It doesn't really, well, it leaves a little bit of residue. And it's possible I've just had it on there since last year and I should be taking it off. But you see there's a, see if you can see, yeah. There's a little screw here. You take that out. And then this kind of pops open. You know, and if I wanted to, I could take the gun down very easily. But I've got this little kit here. This is a screw. We'll get to where that's from. I've got a little cleaning brush in there. I've got a 20 gauge adapter. So theoretically, if I wanted to, I don't really know what the advantage would be of this unless this is the only ammo I had. You know, this is one of these short lane adapters. Dave Canterbury is always real big on these guys. He's worked with them. And I've had some fun with them. You know, this is the 20 gauge to 12 gauge adapter for the single shots. You basically stick this in there and I could shoot this 3-incher out of the 12 here. And also a little bit of lamp wick for padding for that. And then this is 20 or so rounds of .22 long rifle that is packed in some baggies with some cardboard to form it. It's kind of hard to see there. I don't know if you can see it in the light. You know, so they're basically arranged, alternating in there so that they can fit in. Because I noticed that this would fit perfectly in here. Well, why do you need .22 long rifle, you may ask? Well, let me just break this down actually while I'm doing it here. So I've got this butt pad here, which I don't know if you've ever shot one of these. I really don't consider myself a wuss. Some people will say that I am. But shooting these 3-inch loads out of here, this normally has, as you'll see here in a second, just a plastic butt plate, okay? And this thing hurts. I'm sorry, I don't consider myself a wuss. But you may notice that there's a screw loose. That's right. You heard it here first. 111T has a screw loose. And that is actually the screw that I have stored it here. Okay? But what this is for is so I can rotate this out. And then right in that hole where... that's the hole where you would, if you were going to remove the stock from the firing mechanism there, that's where the bolt is down in here. So, but what I've got stored in there is one of these 8-inch, 12-gauge to 22 long rifled adapters. Okay, so in an emergency, if I had to, you know, take some small game, you know, I have a decent amount of ammunition with me in this little pack right here. This is sort of the last ditch. I usually will carry a handful of it just so I wouldn't have to break into this, but I do have this as sort of an emergency cache. And I know, you know, my friend who I go hunting with thinks this is the most gimmicky nonsense imaginable, but I've had some fun with this, you know, out plinking. You know, it is kind of tricky because you don't have rifle sights on here. All I've done is I've added, you can kind of see a little bit. Let me see if I can get this on the camera axis. I've added a high-vis fiber optic bead on the end. You can kind of see that. And that's helpful, you know. So, but basically, I mean, this whole thing, I've got less than $250 in, including the adapters. I believe this is around $100 for this one, and then it was about $100, a little more than $100 for the shotgun itself, and then I think this is $30 or $40. I'm not exactly sure on the totals, so don't quote me on that, but it's definitely bargain basement, you know. But it's kind of versatile, you know, and hopefully I'll get something this year. So wish me luck, guys. And like I said, I'm not a big expert. Don't look at what I'm putting out here and saying, oh wow, 111T did this, so I should go out and do this. You know, if nothing else, I mean, this is me watching Dave Canterbury and doing what he said. But yeah. Oh, the only other short lane adapter I have, let me see here. I haven't used this one a whole heck of a lot. This is the little 3-inch 20-gauge to 22 adapter. And you could actually, if you really want to be perverse, you could use this setup, okay, with the 12. I don't know why you would, because this one right here is a lot more accurate. It's pretty decent accuracy, I found. You know, it's as accurate as I can shoot. So, and I always put this in backwards. There's some padding here, but I don't want to screw up the crown on this. So, you know, you have to imagine that under recoil, this is gonna, you know, get bounced around a little bit, and so that's how I've got this stored. And basically, what's in here is this just I sprayed a little light oil on it and put it in this plastic bag and sealed it up with some electrical tape. So it's there in emergency if I need it. And it shouldn't rust, basically. It should be pretty good to go. But yeah, I mean, I could use this one in the 20 gauge there, you know, in a similar scenario. I don't have ammunition right in the firearm the way I do with the 12 gauge. But I really recommend this thing. You know, for the money, it's just a whole lot of fun. You know, and Choate actually makes a, this is called the store arm, like forearm, forend. And this was not too expensive. And it's made, one thing I really like about this, hang on one second here. I'm going to go grab the original. I've got it right here. Alright, so this is the original fore-end that came with the gun. Some things about this is it's kind of hard to kind of drill into it for a sling. I bet you could probably drill into it right here. Notice Dave Canterbury drilled holes through this way, straight through it, and then put some paracord through there. I didn't want to monkey around with that, and like I said, this comes with one, okay? So that's good. The other thing I didn't like about this, if I was going to be taking it down, putting it in my pack or whatnot, is this little plastic pivot end is very vital to how the firearm opens and closes. And it seems like this plastic is pretty fragile. And when the gun's all together, it's really not that big a deal. But if I want to take this apart and put it in a backpack, I'd be really worried about that. And this just doesn't, this isn't like made out of a Zytel, kind of a, seems like a fiberglass reinforced nylon, and it's pretty rugged. So I don't feel, you know, these different parts, you know, I don't feel at all worried about this riding around in my pack. I know I'll pull it out and it'll be intact and ready to go. Whereas this I would be a little worried about. So there you have it, guys. If you have any advice or any sort of you know, wisdom that you can impart to me, that would be awesome. Wish me luck. May 1st is the opening day. Thanks a lot.